Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this unplanned video. Something happened after Raw that we need to talk about. In fact, there's a lot to talk about because there was a match involving the Fiend and Bray Wyatt might have got injured. We don't know at this stage, but certainly it seems like he signals to the referee to basically end it, and so as soon as he says that, the lights get cut and that's it, the match is over. It doesn't actually get a conclusion, and I've got to be honest, straight off the bat, I much preferred this way of finishing the match rather than the Fiend losing by DQ. That's what they've been doing on house shows, and I come from the old school where wins and losses matter, because that is the foundation of wrestling. That is what wrestling is built upon. Now, I appreciate that the Fiend is different, and I appreciate that the Fiend wants revenge, he wants to hurt people, but for me, if you're going to put that above winning a match, then that's a step too far. I can't go to those levels, because to me, that is the foundation of wrestling. The foundation of wrestling is winning matches, winning championships. I can understand that the Fiend not really caring about winning championships. That's not his primary goal, but he shouldn't be sacrificing matches. I cannot support that. I can't. I'm from the old school. Wins and losses matter. So actually, for me, the way that this match played out after Raw, I actually thought was much better. I personally enjoyed it more. So let's go through it all anyway, because I fully appreciate, having had this conversation on Twitter many times, that everyone thinks differently. So I'm only telling you how I feel about it. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that you have to come round to my way of thinking. I'm literally just telling you how I see it. And if you see it different, I respect that. So let's talk about how Raw ended. It was Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman, and basically the match ended when the lights went out, the Fiend appeared, and he put the mandible claw onto Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman goes down. The Fiend makes his presence felt to Seth Rollins. A lot of people saying that the Fiend was protecting Seth, because he did talk about this earlier in the show, that the Fiend could be there to protect Seth. Also, we know that the Fiend doesn't like sharing, so it could be, I've seen this theory doing the rounds, that basically the Fiend doesn't want anyone else to attack Seth. He wants Seth all to himself. That's why he took out Kane. That's why he's took out Braun. That's why whoever is facing Seth next week, who we know is Rey Mysterio, Rey Mysterio needs to be concerned, because it seems like the Fiend doesn't want anyone going after Seth other than him. So Braun Strowman went down to the mandible claw, but actually starts to get back up. So the Fiend, for the first time, had to put on a second mandible claw to keep Strowman down. That's how Raw ended. And then clips started to surface of a match between the Fiend and Seth Rollins. Now, I was sent little clips of this, and I didn't know it was a match, and it just looked like Seth Rollins was beating up the Fiend. And I've got to be honest, my first reaction was I hated it. I absolutely hated it, because it seemed as though the Fiend wasn't getting much offense back. Granted, he was taking curb stomps and getting back up, but he wasn't really giving any offense, you know, he wasn't really doing anything in return. So I really hated what I saw. But then I found out it was a match. I didn't realise at first, but it was a match. The bell sounds at the start. There's a referee in the ring. This is a match between the Fiend and Seth Rollins. And what's really interesting here with this is that basically the Fiend starts the match by giving a Sister Abigail, or trying to give a Sister Abigail to Seth Rollins. Seth manages to escape. He then hits a curb stomp, and I've got to tell you, the crowd are loud all throughout this. They sound absolutely brilliant. They're really into it. The Fiend stands straight up. He takes a curb stomp and stands straight up. Now, I think the clips I originally saw were from this point. So basically, he gets super kicked 3 times. Twice he gets super kicked. On the third one, he goes down. And then he starts getting back up to his knees. And he gets super kicked again for a 3rd time. Then this is where the 3 curb stomps come in. So he gets curb stomped. He gets curb stomped. The 3rd curb stomp, something seems to go wrong. He grabs his head. The referee goes over. Something is said between Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and the referee. The referee gives a hand signal. It's not the cross that we know ends a match. He just kind of like throws his hands out as if to say, cut the lights now. The lights go, and that is the end. So, a lot to unpack here. First thing I'm going to say, this was a match, and the Fiend didn't lose. Huge tick for me. Massive tick. As I said earlier in this video, I am all about wins and losses, and even if this is a dark match, I don't care. We live in the age of the internet. I'm here talking to you about this match. It didn't happen behind closed doors. It didn't happen at the Performance Center. It happened in front of an arena full of people. I say full. And so there is no hiding places anymore. You can't have the Fiend lose at house shows and just keep it a secret. This isn't the 90s. This isn't the 80s. This isn't before the internet. So wins and losses, I don't care where they happen. If people can see them and they're getting filmed, I don't care where they happen. They're important, right? Maybe if it's like the Performance Center and there's just a couple of people there, that might be different. But the fact that if it's in an arena, then it's important. So I do like the fact that the Fiend didn't lose. I like the fact the Fiend kept getting up after the curb stomps, kept getting up even after the super kicks. So I do think there's something encouraging there. Obviously, it's a concern that he didn't get any offense back in himself, but, and this is a huge but, if it would have resulted in him putting the mandible claw on and leaving it on, I would have hated it. A DQ loss, I would have hated it. I think I'm very clear as to where my red lines are. I think I'm very clear as to what I like and what I don't like. Again, this is personal. I don't like to see people lose matches. So, I actually much prefer this finish. Big improvement for me. So, yeah, I'm really into it. I'm really encouraged by it. The only concern would be that did Bray get injured? Was he legitimately injured when he took that 3rd curb stomp? Was he meant to put the mandible claw on and then get DQ'd like we've seen at house shows? Or was the finish always the lights were going to go out? The way he held his head, the way that he spoke to the ref. Seeing the Fiend speak to the ref was weird. But he said something to the ref. The ref called it. The lights go out at that point. It was as if the ref called for the lights to go. Like, I don't know if the ref is working with the Fiend. It was very weird. But yeah, the ref kind of threw a hand signal. And as soon as he did that, the lights went out. So that's why I'm concerned that Bray did suffer some kind of an injury. We don't know if he did. We don't know if it's serious. I doubt it keeps him out of Hell in a Cell. But yeah, a lot to talk about. A lot to unpack. And again, let me stress, I know people feel differently about this. I know we did a poll on Twitter and it was basically 30% of people don't care if he loses. 30% of people really hate the fact he loses, and 30% of people were in the middle. They just were like, whatever. So I appreciate there is a very wide spectrum out there, but hey, I just want people to know where I stand on that spectrum. And that is it, guys. That was what happened after Raw. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.